Okay, so I'm doing an oil change on a 2018 Kawasaki Ninja 400, and I figured it doesn't hurt to record a video and share with others who might need some guidance. I am doing it to spec. That's the Ninja 400 owner's manual, and as you can see, that's the oil capacity requirements and the torque specs. All you only need is 2 liters of 10W40 oil or 2.1 quart. I personally always use AMS oil on all my motorcycles. You could use Kawasaki OEM oil or any other brand that you feel like, but it is 10W40. For filter, you could use the OEM or another compatible one. I like to use the high flow filter 303 racing. You will need a 17mm socket for the oil drain plug and the filter that has nut. You will need a torque wrench if you decide to torque your drain plug. And I personally like to change the crush washer on the drain plug every time I do an oil change, but that's totally optional. It's pretty straightforward process. As a matter of fact, the Ninja 400 is probably one of the easiest bikes to do an oil change on. So we'll go ahead and knock it out. Okay, so you do want to warm up the bike beforehand and get that oil circulating in the motor. And of course you need an oil pan to drop the oil in so you don't make a big mess. Having a rear stand is not necessary, but definitely make the process a lot easier. So we'll go ahead and open the drain plug, which is nicely positioned. Okay, so I needed a short extension on my wrench as it was a bit short. Here it is. Be careful when you open the drain plug, as the oil could be hot when you warm it up the motor. And here it is. It's also easier if you open your oil cap. That way air pushes the oil out. Give it some time to drain, and then we'll go ahead and knock out the filter. Okay, here's the crush washer that was on, and here's the one I'm about to put on. It's just an extra layer of safety that you can use, and that is highly recommended. Okay, so now it's almost done draining. We'll go ahead and remove the oil filter. So depending on which oil filter you are using, you might need like the car oil filter cap or the other pliers type oil filter remover, but since I use the one with the nut, I just use a wrench, which is also 17mm, and I do it without removing the lower fairings. Some people like to do that, but for me, I don't find that necessary. So I just reach from the bottom, loosen it up. Okay, once it's loose enough, I move the pedal bit forward and finish that with my hand. And here it is. That's what I was talking about. and leave it drying for a little bit. We'll go ahead now and put the drying plug back on. This is oil. Tighten it up a little bit, then switch to the torque wrench. Remember, it's 22 foot per pound. Click. Now 22 foot per pound may not sound like a lot, but that's a lot of torque for this bike, or for this diet plug. Okay, so with the new filters, you do want to oil the O-rings and also air out the bubbles out of the filter hole. So we'll go ahead and add a little bit of oil in here. You don't want to put too much, but just enough to oil the O-ring and air out the bubbles that's in the filter. That way it's not completely dry. Okay. So now the filter is ready to be mounted. We'll go ahead and tighten it first. Now I know a lot of riders, they just hand tighten it, or they use just a normal wrench until it's tight enough and they call it a day. But for the purpose of this video, I'll go ahead and torque it to spec, especially with the fact that it has a nut where I can put a 17mm socket on it. And this is good. Alright, so now that we have new oil filter on, the diamond plug is torqued back, we can go ahead and put the new oil. Alright, now we got the funnel in, we'll go ahead and put the new oil in. Now remember, when you change the oil filter, the bike takes 2.1 quarts of oil or 2 liters. And you could always check through the oil eagle eye or the clear window that you see in the bottom to make sure the oil is halfway to 3 quarts in there. You don't want to have too much oil and might affect the head gasket or the overhead. First one is done. Okay, now that we finished putting 2.1 quarts of oil in the bike, put the cap back, wipe off any excess oil, and we'll turn on the bike, warm it up, and we'll check back to make sure we are good to go, and also to make sure that there's no oil leaking from the bottom of the motor, the drain plug, the oil filter, and all that good stuff. It's better to be safe. Okay, let's go ahead, turn the bike on. Now that we let it off for a little bit, good to go. No oil leak on the floor, nothing coming out. We'll give the oil a little bit of time, come back, but basically once you turn it off, the oil should be between these two lines. If it's in there, you are good to go. If it's lower, you're gonna need to add more oil. If it's over the line, it's highly recommended to take some oil out. Now when you do that, make sure the bike is leveled. Right now I have it on rear stand, so of course a little bit higher from the rear than the front. And this is all you need to do an oil change on the 2018 to the 2020 Ninja 400. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.